All right. Welcome to the BookFest Spring 2024. This panel and conversation is called Evaluating Your Cup of Life and Learning to Say Yes. Our special guest today is Tashena Anderson-Place. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What an exciting concept and philosophy. I'm curious, what was the origin of the book? How did this come to be?
Well, I have to tell you, I started writing this book when I was going through a bit of grief. I found myself sitting on the couch and drinking my cup of coffee. And it originally was oh, I'm having coffee moments and I need to do something else. I need to get these thoughts out. And so I just started writing. And then my husband was like, well, girl, all this writing you've done, what are you going to do with it? And I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything with it. And he was like, do something. You can't just leave this sitting here. And so it turned into Fill Your Cup.
Amazing. How does someone evaluate their cup of life?
Oh yeah. So a lot of people don't even realize that it's called the cup of life, or what is the cup of life. And people are like, what are you talking about, Sheena? So here's the concept, right? I think all of us have this cup, and inside of us, each time since we're born, right? Somebody's always been telling you who you are, what you're about. Don't do this, don't do that. Or when you grow up, then you start getting things that start happening to you in life. I kind of feel like that all comes into, and I must try to say like this: everything starts pouring into your cup, right?
Mm.
And you just keep packing it down into your cup. And then it becomes your personality. It becomes your identity. It becomes what you're talking about. It becomes what you think and what you act and how you talk, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that internally, I feel like we have this cup that we never ever look at and say, we need to evaluate it and pour it out and say, what's useful to me now? And what can I let go of? I think a lot of us take this stuff with us throughout our lives and say it's us, but we don't ever say, wait, maybe that was previous me. Maybe that was young me. Maybe I need to throw that out and get something different. We always just think that's who we are because people said that in the beginning. But I'm telling people that you can pour it out and there's more. There's hope. It's so much more to life. People
Right.
change. People change.
Right. What do you think stops people from doing this? What is holding
Fear.
people back
A
here?
lot of it is fear. A lot of people don't like reflection, right? You don't want to look back at your past. You don't want to look back and face those obstacles that were in your cup or things that you feel like, I don't ever want to look at that again. So that's that little pocket of black space that people are like, I don't want to do, but that's the thing that's holding you back, right? So, and I call that's the part where it's like, oh, you need to uproot some things. That's the bitterness. That's the resentment. Oh, I can't forgive that person. I don't have forgiveness. That thing happened to me, and I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna, I don't ever want to talk about that again. So I think a lot of it is people don't like those hard emotions, those hard conversations, or addressing it.
Right.
Mhm.
What tools do you think that somebody watching this could maybe start to use to get there?
Man, I would say, first of all, if you don't have an inner community, couple people that you trust, I mean, I have a friend that I've been friends with for almost like 30 years now. So, but not everybody has that, right? And I have a church community, I have all those things, but I would say start with therapy. If you haven't got a good therapist around, someone that's neutral ground, I would start with that. Or, like I said, find you a church community, find you a community, period. Some people that you can trust, even if you're like, I don't speak to my family anymore. Or somebody like me, a coach, neutral person that can talk you through it, somebody that's been through it that can give you some examples. So, lots of ways.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Um, how do people learn to say yes?
Oh, man. First, like I said, evaluating your cup, right?
Yeah.
You have to be bold to say yes, right? Because I think on the other side of that, people always want to know, as humans, all of us want to know, how is it going to end, right? We
Right.
want A, B, C, all the way to Z. But the thing is, I'm trying to get people to understand you can take incremental little steps, right? We don't
Right.
need to do the full picture right away. I just want you to get the ball rolling, right? What's
Mhm.
the first step that you can do? That's how you begin to say yes. Say yes to getting started. Say yes to buying the thing that you said I was going to do in the first place, or whatever you need to get started. Maybe it's just books and paper and pens because you want to be a writer. You want to write a book. Well, why don't you start putting something down? It doesn't have to be beautiful right away, right? It
Right.
just needs to be your thoughts. And then you have people that come in, author coaches and all that other stuff, that can make it beautiful and into your vision of what you have. So I think being open and vulnerable to say, it's going to be ugly in the beginning. I'm going to falter a little bit. I'm going to learn along the way. And then I'm going to trust some experts to come in and help me say yes.
That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
awesome. And people have been reading the book. What has been the reaction? And did you have any like success stories that you can share with us?
Oh man. Yeah. A lot of people have been. So if you read the book is me evaluating my cup of life. So
Mhm.
it's, you get to learn a lot about me in the book. And a lot of people like the fact that after each chapter, I gave them an inspirational Bible verse or some kind of, and then blank pages to put down their notes, what they felt they could have done or learned from the chapter. And a lot of people are like, giving me compliments and or saying things like they're crying because they're like, well, how did you know? And I'm like, I don't. I'm giving you what I went through, hoping that it can help you. And I think it's been freeing for a lot of people to see the transparency because I think that's what people are looking for nowadays, right? They're looking for somebody to be real, to be transparent, to say, I've been there and I can get through it. And if I can do it, you can too. And I think people are just looking for positive examples. And I think that's what people have been getting from my book. And from the reviews, that's what most people say. So they feel like they know me by the end of the book and they got a new friend. So that's great.
Oh, that's amazing. That's some amazing feedback, and
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things you strive, being not only a thought leader but also as a creative person when you put something out in the world like this.
Yep.
So that's really excellent. Um, for you personally, what was the process like writing the book? I mean, did it help you to write this book?
Oh, yes. Oh, oh, yeah. It would definitely help me get through. People are so surprised at how long it took me to write it.
Mm.
I was very stickler. I was strict about every morning getting up and writing. So again, it wasn't a book at first, but I mean, I think I started the book. It took me, I think, 4 to 6 months, maybe, not even. It was like some intense writing, but yeah, it was therapeutic. And I'm so glad I did it because honestly, when I'll tell people this, I tell people the truth all the time. When I wrote it, I had no idea what it was going to be called. I honestly didn't understand the concept right away. But as I continued to show up, I continued to talk about it more. I kept learning more from my own book and my title and the things that was in it. And I was like, wait a minute, this is way more than just filling your cup. Like this is a whole mindset and heart transformation that people need to know about so they can be free too. And I always laugh because I feel like I'm doing it now, but I just spew out like this talk. I just feel like it just comes out now. Just trying to encourage people because I feel so free from it that I want other people to feel the same way.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
One of the things that really struck me when I was reading your bio is that it said you used to be kind of keyed into like getting earthly kind of possessions, like going after, degrees and things like that. And now that has switched. What
Yeah.
do you remember the moment where things kind of changed for you, where that kind of point of view switched for you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that I always tell people is like I will have to say it was a moment when I sat in my house at my desk. Yeah, I was working from home.
Mm.
And I was sitting there one day and I was like, I don't know who I am. Without being that person, like without having the title on the door, people noticing who I am. I was sitting there and I was like, I don't like this sitting at home thing. Wait a minute. Like I was tied to that commute. I was tied to being seen. And that was the moment when it just hit me like a ton of bricks that wow, who am I? Who am I without the titles, without the degrees on the wall? And I didn't know who she was. And that was scary because then I had to crawl back and figure out, you know, who could I be in this new season? So yeah, it was like a ton of bricks. And I tell people it was like turning around and crawling back on coals a little bit, but it was worth it. It refined me very well.
Wow. And that's an amazing story. And so where are you today? Where do you think you are today as far as like your person goes, and what's the next evolution if you have one? What are you seeing happening in the world?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now I think that right now I'm kind of at that point where I'm confident in this message. I'm confident in who I am now. I've been, like I said, stepping along the journey. When I came out, I was like wiggly baby leg, not you know how babies get up when they first start walking. That
Yeah.
was me. But now I think I kind of have a grasp on it. Again, learn as you go. And I think that I'm at the point where I feel like I can take this into helping other people. I don't know whether through classes, whether through courses, whether through the conferences, wherever. Just making sure I'm out here putting my face out there, talking more, because honestly, talking has never been my strong thing, my strong suit. I've never been out here to do that, but got to be the face of the book and the face to the brand. So a lot more inspiration comes that way. People like videos and chatting. So
For
yeah.
sure. And you're doing great at it, for what it's worth. This has been an amazing conversation,
Thank you.
and really affirming and inspiring on a lot of different ways. Um, I have another question for you, kind of a fun question.
Oh yeah.
Um, Also, reading your bios in the book,
Mhm.
description. For you, what makes the perfect cup of coffee?
Oh, now yeah, you're talking my kind of language. Listen, I think it has to be like the perfect temperature. And I'm gonna say something really weird, and you're gonna be like, really, really, Sheena. So I always think it has the perfect amount of cream if it's like right near my skin color, right? So
Okay.
that's how I can tell. I'm a caramel coffee kind of person. I want to taste the coffee, but I also want it to be enough creamer that I'm like, and man, if I can get it with like whipped cream and topped with caramel and iced coffee, I take it hot. It doesn't matter. But I think it perfect cup of coffee for me has to have something dealing with caramel in it. Caramel
I love
brulee, all the things.
I love it. That's amazing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for participating in the BookFest
Of
Spring
course.
2024. Um, for our audience, if you're looking for the book, if you go to thebookfest.com, you can find a author page for her and a book page highlighting the book. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the BookFest Spring 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.